When was the last time that you were stressed? And what was it that you were stressed about? How did you deal with that stress? Did you turn to entertainment? Did you turn to food? Did you turn to reckless spending with your money that you worked so hard for? Did you turn to substances? Did you turn to people? Today we are going to be uncovering the roots of what I like to call addictions. But because of the stigma surrounding addictions, we're going to break it down by a quote that I found that's really interesting. And it reads, "Addiction shouldn't be called addiction. It should be called ritualized compulsive comfort seeking." That is so deep. Ritualized compulsive comfort seeking. We are in a state of fight or flight. See, when you are stressed, your body becomes a lot more acidic, and it causes a lot of things to take place physically within your body that does not make you feel good. The hormones that are being released to make your body more acidic is coming from your brain. And so knowing that your body is not feeling these things off rip, it is your brain that is perceiving these external factors that is making your body feel these things. So when we are looking at ritualized compulsive, simply just meaning you are doing it on a daily or occurrence by occurrence basis. Every single time you are stressed, you are doing something to cope with it. And that's where the comfort seeking comes in, because of course you are seeking to soothe yourself, soothe those parts of yourselves that have been wounded. Is it by trauma? Is it by our inability to truly grasp the overstimulation of this external world? So like with many of my other videos, you all will see a common theme that I like to do is propagate the universal principles. Right now we are going to be getting into the law of polarity, because see, I'm never going to come to you all with a problem we are experiencing without, of course, offering the solution to that problem. And so one side of the spectrum deals with survival, while the other deals with creation. See, creation is where we are trying to get to, but unfortunately, so many of us are stuck in this place of survival. Think of survival mode like a deer in headlights, and you are kind of somewhat paralyzed by whatever is going on that is kind of freezing you, right? Sometimes in fight or flight, people will fight. Other times people will freeze. And these are two very common and expected responses to this external stimuli that we are calling life, right? Having to keep up with your bills, having to keep up with the things going on in your interpersonal life, and showing up at work like nothing happened. It is a lot. It is a lot. But that's why videos like these are so helpful, because it will allow you to keep everything in perspective and remind you, no, boo, the power is in you. It is not outside of you, it is within you. So if the mind has the ability to literally alter and influence various systems that are needed to operate our body and perceive our reality, it is so important to consider these two states of mind and analyze either side of the spectrum that you resonate more with, so that you can see where you are at when it comes to either being balanced or imbalanced. The first column we have is survival. Most of us are operating in a state of survival because of all of these various external stimuli and factors that we have to navigate every day. And so in survival mode, your state of mind is more likely to be stressed, more likely to be imbalanced. You are more likely to experience dis-ease. And remember, dis-ease is due to the elevated acidity in the body due to the stress levels, the cortisol that is being released. You do not want to be stressed if you can help it. And this video is going to help you get to the root of and uncover certain stresses, certain traumas that you have that put you in that mind state. So we have breakdown in survival mode, a loss of energy, feeling drained, feeling depleted. These are all common when you're in survival mode. Reality is determined by your senses. You are not in control seat when you are in survival mode within your mental space. You are allowing your senses to gauge, where you are. And basically by that, your ego is in full control. And so you have no control over whether or not you allow things to permeate your aura. My last video, I kind of was touching on that. You have to have a force field around yourself energetically, or else you have no protection to all of these various different stimuli we're talking about. And your mind is in a state of cause and effect at all times. And so, like I said, so many of us resonate with this side of the spectrum, because when I get into the creation side of the mind, of course, this is where we desire to be in homeostasis, which just means balance, right? Order, in health, repaired, energy being created, because you have an abundance. You are in an energy of abundance. Reality beyond the senses. So it is no longer being determined by your senses. You are in control, and you are being able to perceive your reality outside of you beyond the five senses, and causing an effect versus something happens and I must react. Does that make sense? And so you really have to analyze now that you know both, what side of the spectrum do you fall on? And how can we get to this space in our mental plane? In order to do that, we must get to the roots of our wounds, our traumas, and our true triggers of stress. What the mind forgets, the body and the nervous system will always remember. Why? Once you experience a trauma as distressing and overwhelming as one of these 4 forms of abuse, your brain literally rewires itself to interpret one's neutral context, situations, and experiences as negative. Most times they are interpreted as threatening, sending you into that survival mode that we were just talking about. And once you are operating in that survival mode, you are doing anything to get by. Again, comfort seeking. We have to seek some form of comfort and refuge in order to keep going. And when we are seeking that comfort and refuge, that is where the addictions arise. And so this is what is known as an addiction tree. It shows the common addictions and then digs deeper into the roots, and not just the root, the soil. So we're getting down into the nitty gritty. And so starting with the addictions that you would see on the surface, some could arise as food, some could arise as gambling, work, alcohol, material possessions, codependency, which is just you relying on other people to kind of navigate your chaos within yourself, right? Religion, sex, and drugs. All of these things could be considered ritualized, compulsive comfort seeking when not done in moderation, or not done at all, of course. But if you are going to do something, it is not done compulsively, right? But you are doing so. You are engaging in these things to gain some comfort. And so when we are getting to the roots of these addictions, some of them can be rooted in anger. Some can be rooted in fear. Some can be rooted in grief, loneliness, or shame. Why? What are these things rooted in? Traumas and or hereditary factors. And where do traumas come in? In the soil of addiction, one of these forms of abuse, one or more, in culmination with your hereditary factors, is a recipe for these addictions that we just mentioned. And so some of these forms of abuse could be physical, could be religious/spiritual, could be sexual, psychological/emotional, all of them done in an abusive way that have led you into one of these root feelings that then cause you to navigate the world with ritualistically seeking this comfort in one of these addictions. So this really keeps it in perspective that when we are told that certain substances are gateway drugs, it is not the substance itself. Similar to a weapon in and of itself is not inherently evil. It depends on the user of that weapon. It depends on the user of these gateway substances. And furthermore, it is not the substance itself that is the gateway. It is the trauma that you experience via abuse in various different forms that is the gateway to the addictions mentioned above. And so if you are looking to free yourself from a cycle of suffering, right? We talked about that in the first video, cycle of suffering. Shifting your mind from a survival mind to a creator mind, we have to uncover the root. And you are doing just that by doing work like this, doing that inner work and facing your shadow self. This level of shadow work we are mentioning is going to afford you the ability of self-empowerment. It's going to allow you to redirect yourself and transcend all of the shame and stigma surrounding your traumas and addictions that you are navigating life through. You have to give yourself a pat on the back because you are doing the hard work. You are acknowledging that there is a need for change. And that right there is the first step to seeing change. And so how exactly do we break free from these addictions, right? The first step is to change a daily habit. See, a lot of us, when we hear change or the desire to change something in our life just isn't there, and it causes a lot of, feelings of uncertainty. A lot of us don't charge at change because it just, even if it's not a fear, at the least, it makes us feel uncomfortable. But we have to be reminded that change is the only constant in life. Things are constantly changing around us. And you can either be water and flow with the changes in life, or you could be a rock in the river and try to resist. But you might not be a strong rock, you might be a pebble, and you might be forced to go with the river's flow anyway. So why resist life? You don't know what you are hindering from you being in a space of resistance. You cannot expect to go from resistance in your survival mode, hanging on, to creator, a space of abundance and allowing things to flow. You know what I'm saying? So it's like releasing the desire to control things around you. And that desire truly does come from the traumas we were just mentioning. So digging deep within yourself to uncover why you have that desire to control so that you don't experience change. What happened in your childhood that is rooted in your desire to not change things in your life. The second would be letting go of the fear we were just expressing. Letting go of fear.
Lelela kuyokutikusta. Lelela tsokan. Kaskuta. Uetelna kilagusta.
See, fear is very infectious because it starts in your mind and it travels through the rest of your body, alarming your nervous system and causing you to be in a space of fight or flight. But when you remind yourself that you are safe and you are protected, you have nothing to fear. You know what I'm saying? You have nothing to fear. See, fear keeps you in a repetitive loop, in a repetitive cycle. It keeps you in the same situations that are stagnant, the same circumstances that are perpetuating the same results. Remember, cause and effect, not causing an effect. The loop. And the loop is directly correlated with our ego selves, our lower selves. And so we really want to break out of a loop. This is a cycle. You know what I'm saying? You could think of suffering being the epitome of that cycle, suffering. You want to bypass the persona that you've developed due to the traumas you've experienced, your representative, right? You want to be conscious and aware, which you are right now. You are being conscious, you are being aware, you are analyzing, okay, yes, I do have these, ritualized, compulsive, comfort-seeking habits. What can I do to change that? And it starts with the root work we were talking about, facing that shadow self and asking your questions as to why you are operating in this world the way that you are, so that you can transfer from the survival mode to the creator mode, which is essentially your intuition. Your intuition or your higher self, right? And this is what your higher self is, what's guiding you to take the steps towards evolution, transcendence, change. But we have to be in a space to where we are willing to embrace and accept the changes that we are being called to step into.